Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey! Happy Monday! Ultimate Cleveland sports show viewers and fans, of which one of them is on an airplane right now coming back from Florida.
What, an out-of-pocket selfie?
What does that mean?
That selfie was out of pocket, boo.
Bull just sent us a picture. He's on the plane, getting ready to come back from Florida, and he sent the selfie out of pocket. Are selfies in general out of pocket?
Yeah.
In general, they are, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll answer a definitive yes to that too.
Yeah, with the angles.
Yeah, I gotta wait. The sun's behind me. Hold on.
That's the one.
Oh,
that's
my
the one.
God. Oh, what have we become? Welcome, though. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Before we start, I'm told Anthony wants to do a shout-out. Is that true?
Anthony does have a very important
That's
shout-out.
rare,
So Anthony,
Ant.
the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I'd like to give a huge shout-out to the Adrenaline 6th grade girls volleyball team that my wonderful girlfriend coaches for winning their first tournament bracket. This Saturday, they went 3-2 on the day, and they absolutely demolished the last two teams they played.
Wow.
It was awesome to watch, and it was a really fun day. Shout out to the girls.
First of all, round of applause.
Round of applause.
Ant still has a girlfriend. Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Upset of the century.
Because I tell you, Anthony is pretty low-key about it. Like, he doesn't talk much about it, so you never know. But so we're glad to hear that the relationship... Is this still the same girl, Ant?
Same girl, yeah.
Uh-oh. Do we hear wedding bells in the future? Put him on the spot.
Next question.
All right, let's ask
young.
McNuggets.
He's a young kid.
McNuggets, you've been with your girl for better
Miss
part
Nuggets is doing well. Yeah, she's doing very well.
Any plans in the future to become a family?
I got to get another contract longer than a year before we can look at any lifelong decisions. So UCSS, if you want to make that happen, we got to get a contract that's longer than year to year.
So let me ask you this. If we get said 2-year contract for McNuggets, there will be
We can
family
start
McNuggets.
at least having those discussions, but there's no point having those discussions when we're on a year-to-year basis right now. So
it sounds to me like you're using that as an excuse.
no,
Babe, I'd like to,
in all honesty, though, like you don't know where you're going to be. It's hard to
That's
plan for
fair.
the future when
Stop.
on December 31st you could be in a different spot.
That's very fair. All right. Well, for the sake of Miss Nuggets, I hope you get your 2-year contract. And what's the holdup? Why can't we do that?
None of us have contracts beyond this year right now, so.
I mean, why not?
Tegna, it's not. Don't ask me. You're looking at the wrong person here.
I just want to make sure I'm up at the right time. Like, Mikey can sign this deal first. I want to be like Jalen Brown. Like, if
I see.
If I sign my deal,
It's
if
all
Mikey,
timing.
Yeah, I just want to sign my deal probably around next March. Next March.
Okay.
If we can re-sign deals next March, then we've been re-signed for another year. So that'd be a good thing for all of us.
Yes.
Well, I hope for the sake of all those that want a lengthy contract or more than a year that you get it. Yeah. You deserve it. You guys have busted your tails. You've built something here. Something that you guys should be proud of. There should be a reward for that.
I'm going to get my money either way it go. Either I get the contract or I just fake a seizure or fall in the middle of the aisle.
Oh, I see. Well, see, but now there's this as evidence.
Yeah, but
You shouldn't do that because
you can't
if
walk
it
it
really
back.
happen now.
It's on tape now. The tape is out there.
See, no, listen.
The internet lives forever.
I got a weightlifting accident.
Oh, I see. That you're planning. It's on the calendar for April.
I mean, I just put it out there, just so you know. So you got a lot of time to negotiate.
Hey, did anybody hear from Bull? Did he enjoy his vacation?
He texted us that it was the best vacation, or tweeted, excuse me, that it was the best vacation of his life.
That's fantastic. Man, if a guy ever needed a vacation, don't you think it was Bull?
Yeah,
Man.
oh, for sure.
Because, like, he's just been, first of all, changing jobs, a lot of people don't understand this. When you change jobs in a career like this, that's a big gamble. So he did that. Then his wife was ill, and, COVID and all the uncertainty. And I think he said it'd been 10 years or so since he did a vacation like this, where he actually went away for more than a week. And he should come back. We see he's shaved the beard, so we do know that. Was there a tan in that picture?
No.
I didn't notice.
I will say this, though. I called Bull on Thursday or Friday. We chatted for a minute. He said he met a fan down in Tampa, a fan in a breakfast spot, recognized Bull, who watches UCSS every day, which is always cool. We know people in Cleveland watch us, but half our audience is not from Ohio. And to meet a fan in Tampa, I think he was, is another little feather in the cap for Bull.
It is. It's big. Did you guys get the email I forwarded, I think, last week?
That was awesome. Yeah, you did.
I can't remember. Was he from New York, maybe?
He was a Cornell student.
Yeah, Cornell college student who said he's just going through the breakup of a relationship or the end of a relationship. Those always can be traumatic.
Yeah.
He's studying for his MCATs, I believe. He's going to go to medical school. First of all, he must be very smart.
His name is Connor, by the way.
Connor.
Yeah.
Connor, that was it. And he asked that I share it with all you guys, and I'm pretty sure that I had everybody's email, so I sent it out. Director Steve, I don't know if – do you have a Tegna email?
I'll send it to Steve. I'll make sure
you
he gets
do?
it.
Okay, I couldn't find yours for some reason. Send it to Steve for me. Anyhow, this guy really was just emailing to say thank you for being like a break from his day that he looks forward to every day. And he talked about how he gets, how joy, he's overwhelmed with joy when he sits down to watch our show every day. What a compliment that we can be that for folks.
I think that's why it's important. I tell people no matter what I'm going through, it's important to show up and show out. Because it's deeper than me, it's deeper than what the things that I might go through in my personal life or what I can control. But we have our obligation to entertain and to be a break to other people's reality.
Yes.
Despite what you might go through in your personal life, somebody else might always have it a little bit worse. And you watching us joke around and laugh might be the difference in them making a poor choice about their own life.
Boy,
so if we could continue
prophetic.
to do that, that's why being a good stewardess of your craft is always important.
Speaking of that, is it okay that I ask about your brother? I think you talked about him on the air.
Yeah, briefly. My brother.
I just want to make sure everything's okay. You don't have to go into great detail. I know there's privacy issues, but
just thank you for reaching out on a personal side of things. Yeah. He's recovering. He's still in the hospital.
Good.
Still in critical condition, but I'm praying for him that he can make a full recovery.
Likely to get through this?
Yeah.
Good.
So.
All right, our thoughts and prayers are certainly with him. And again, it's not just Connor. We hear from folks every day that thank us for just being here, for showing up, and just for helping them sort of. And a lot of folks, this is their only connection to Cleveland sports. I heard from a guy, first fan from Montana that I'd heard from. He's in Montana. He's retired there. He's young. I don't know how he's
That's crazy.
So young and retired. Sounds like he's pretty well off. But he said that he told me that Cleveland sports is part of how he defines himself. You know how people say, who are you? You say, well, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a friend, and then I do sports. That's how I describe myself. A lot of people use other ways to describe themselves. He said that in the first paragraph of how he describes himself is Cleveland sports fan, and he watches us on the regular every single day. And so shout out to Bart, maybe? In Montana, I can't remember. I hope that's right. But thanks for watching. Thanks to all the folks that make us have it every day.
So that was 8.5 minutes of joyous occasion, and we got to get to some much more serious.
Yeah. I'm trying to put it off.
I know, on the opposite side of the spectrum. We'll talk about the Cavs, the Browns, and even a little Guardians, which should be a positive spin on the Guardians in one sec. But first, a word from FanDuel. You can get buckets with your first bucket on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and much, much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA, an official sportsbook partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And last night, guys, on national TV, the Cleveland Cavaliers, frankly, laid an egg. Without Donovan Mitchell, the Knicks were without Jalen Brunson after the first 44 seconds. They were without Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson. But it looked very similar in a bad way to last season's playoff matchup between the two. I want to start with this specific question. And Steve, take tagboard full here a second. And if you could play that video. But after Josh Hart hit the dagger in the corner, this is a tweet from Earl Pearl, our guy in the set. You can see Josh Hart kind of flicking Donovan Mitchell's chain as he ran back down the court. Now, those two were friends off the court. But even still, when you see something like this happen, and Earl, I'll start with you. Are the Cavs soft? to allow this to happen to them on their home court in that scenario? And is anything you've seen this season erase the preconceived notion you had of this team from last playoff series, where I know we all kind of came to the conclusion they just weren't tough enough to advance in the NBA playoffs?
I mean, if they're not soft, they damn sure didn't do themselves no favors in looking at it. And I understand that Donovan Mitchell and Josh Hart are friends, but in that moment, this is where I wished somebody on the Cleveland Cavaliers that was on that court would have stood up and did something. They went and got a flagrant foul or a technical foul to send a message like, you're not about to be doing this in our house. Yeah, y'all can be friends all day long, but I would have put Josh Hart on his ass and I would have told Spider in the locker room, I know that's your homie, but that's not my homie. And the fact that, to me, why that's so important is because, in my opinion, the New York Knicks live rent-free inside the Cleveland Cavaliers' head. See, it's one thing to run up on a player from the San Antonio Spurs. It's another thing to run up on Ben Simmons. But that ain't who you got beef with. Y'all sure didn't have that energy for Josh Hart when he went and popped Donovan Mitchell's chain. And if you think that's okay because they're friends, y'all can be friends after that. But right now, you in the middle of a game that you absolutely need to win, and he hits a dagger 3 in front of the Cavaliers bench, turns around, pops Spider's chain, and nobody on the court does a damn thing about it. The perception is the Cavaliers look soft. It looks like that the New York Knicks have our number. They're gritty. They're tough. They have a lot of heart. The New York Knicks is the epitome of what we wish the Cleveland Cavaliers were.
Yeah, I know you got strong feelings on it, so I'll let you go last because I read some of your tweets. Yes, they're soft. They were soft last year. They're soft now. The Knicks had a lot of guys that weren't in the box score, but there was one definitive thing that still showed up, and that was toughness. They're tough. They're mentally tough. They're physically tough. The pop chain, to me, I don't care if you're friends before and after the game. Michael Jordan never had a friend for 48 minutes that wore a uniform that wasn't red and black. Never. If you go through and you look at the dynasties in the NBA, and you can go back to the Celtics and then the Lakers and the Pistons and the Bulls, most recently the Warriors. They've all got guys on there that if murder was legal, they would do it. We've got a lot of great citizens, and that's wonderful. I love their demeanors off the court. But you have to find dog for 48 minutes every night. You have to. That chain, you could put a circle around that, and you could put that in a time capsule. And when we talk about this Cavs team in 20 years from now, and we talk about all the talent, this clip of video would be the one thing that would say, and this is what kept them from being the best they could be. I understand they're friends. And he said after the game, I don't want to say what I said to him, but something in the effect of nice chain. There were 47 minutes and 55 seconds of clock last night that didn't include that shot. He chose to do it in that moment after that shot because he knew the game was over and he was saying, we still own you. That chain is symbolic because that's the chain that makes them the Knicks captives. They own them. You're right. Rent-free in their head. Right now, so the loss last night dropped the Cavs to the 3 seed.
Correct.
The Knicks currently sit in the 4 seed. It's unlikely that they'll finish 4 and 5 like they did last year. I can't see the Knicks trending that way, particularly because the injury.
And Philly without Embiid would have to surge above.
And I don't see that.
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, and with the injury last night, not severe. They did the x-rays. They said it was just a knee contusion. He's going to be back in no time. They're not going to slip to the 5. The Cavs may slip to the 4, and the Knicks may slip to the 3. But it all goes back to our excuse me, our conversation about the Cavs over the last month have looked like this. This team is playing the best basketball they've played in the non-LeBron James era. And I don't know that anybody can dispute that. Go back to the 90s teams. Historically, they set records during their 18-2 run, not just for their wins, but how badly they were beating teams. We've gone from the Cavs playing their best basketball in the history of their team without LeBron James on the roster to a team that is 7-6 in their last 13.
They're 7-6 without Mitchell. I'm not sure. I'll look at the last 13.
Yeah, I saw 7-6. Maybe they're 7-5 in their last 12.
I believe they're 4-5 after yesterday since February 12th.
That is a fact. And I know we keep coming back to the lineup, and sometimes the sum doesn't equal the parts don't add up to the sum of the team. And this team is flawed. And the roster is flawed. And the other thing, too, is I lost a lot of excitement, and not just over one game, but when I watched the Celtics wring their hands around the Warriors last night.
That was bad.
Nobody's beating them, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You're all playing for Eastern Conference runner-up this year. And I think you're playing for the NBA runner-up because I think the Celtics are that good.
G, before you go, to Jay's point about the lineups. Now, I think a lot of it's matchup dependent. I think last night with the Knicks being shorthanded and Josh Hart playing the 4, it gave JB the opportunity, if he wanted to match small for small, to go 4 shooters, 1 big.
Yeah.
So I dug into the numbers just because I was curious. These numbers take out, by the way, the games where Mobley was hurt. So
Okay.
these are only in games where both Mobley and Allen have been together.
Okay.
And this is from Yaya Dubin, who writes for a bunch of different NBA websites. Very good on the numbers, guys. The Cavs, and the numbers back this up. I'm going to read this directly from his blurb on the Cavs from last night. This is Yaya Dubin. I'll tweet it out if you guys want. Very, very well-respected NBA writer. Right now, the Cavs are better with only Mobley and only Allen on the court when they are together. With only Mobley, they have a net rating of plus 5.9. With only Allen, they have a net rating of plus 12.6. When the two play together, the net rating is just 4.6 in the positive. So all three positive, but a 4.6 together, a 5.9 with just Mobley, a 12.6 for just Allen.
Okay, so can we dive into that?
Yeah, and I just want to put that
I
out
know
there
G.
for
Bush
context because I know G wants to get into it. I know a lot of it's going to be on the.
By the way,
team
those numbers
G.
don't surprise me.
No, it matches the eye test.
It
So I just
matches
wanna-
what we've said.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
When
to give a
Mobley
little
was out
context.
and Allen was playing in his absence, the team had not looked better. They just didn't. And when I brought up, well, then if they're better with Allen than they are with both, then get something for Mobley. Get something to build on for the future. He's this unicorn that's coming. Maybe he'll get here. Maybe he won't. But I'm in it for now because we might not have Spida after this year.
Just wanted to throw that out there. So, G, I'm going to pull up
It
your
confirms
tweet
my
now.
eye test, though.
And this is a tweet from G. Bush last night. G, do you want to read your own tweet here? We'll pull it up on full screen for you. If not, I'll read it, and you can kind of give us the thought
Go ahead.
process behind these words. Steve, take tag board full here. This was G. Bush last night. You can't beat the Knicks without Randall, Anunoby, or Brunson. I've seen all I need to see. The offense is trash. No movement. Defense ain't much better either. But the worst part is no enthusiasm whatsoever after they wiped the floor with us. Hart, 13 freaking rebounds as a guard. He ended up with 19. G, the floor is yours.
I've seen all I need to see. I think we're at this point we're fooling ourselves into trying to be, nice. I jokingly call myself the Duke of knee jerk, right? And I think there's a lot of times when people have sports takes, they want to be level-headed and they want to be seen as a person that is fair-minded when you're critiquing the teams. But sometimes that just comes off as being a homer and somebody that puts their head in the sand and doesn't want to win at the highest level. This team is not good enough roster-wise. They don't have the mindset. They don't have the mindset from the general manager to the play-by-play people to the people that's in the queue or wherever you call it, the field house. Every time you get somebody inside that organization and you listen to them, they are apologizing every 5 seconds for things that they act like we don't know what we're talking about. We saw LeBron James take a team to the finals and play one of the best teams of all time. We know what it looks like when teams are dialed in. We know what it looks like when you have identity. We know what it looks like when guys get fired up. And my thing is this, Donovan Mitchell, when Draymond Green and LeBron James is friends, But when Draymond Green low blow LeBron and said what he said, it was on site. Everybody was ready to fight. Steph Curry in that mouthpiece, what did LeBron tell him? Hey, you too small. He went after Steph Curry. The fact that he came through and plucked your chain, you know what he told you? We punked you last year. You knew what type of time it was. You know that this was for the season series. You know we want the tiebreaker. And you know Brunson ain't playing. But you standing up, clapping it up, trying to coach people up. I don't give a damn about coaching now. You coach on the floor. That should have been an all hands on deck type game. I don't care. You got to drag me off the floor. We need to have this game. And that was the attitude. Don't get the young guys together. You lead by example. Don't get them together while you in street clothes. And he went by you and said, listen, you know what that was? You didn't want it as bad as we did. You see what I just did? I just put a triple-double on you with 19 rebounds, and I'm a shooting guard. And our best players ain't even playing. I'm the 7th best player. That's a nice chain. That's all it was, a nice chain. Wearing all these jewels on the sideline, and I'm putting dagger threes on you. We don't even need our big dogs. I'm the shooter. I'm the little dog. I'm the shooter. Don't worry about Brunson. I got you. I got the heart for it. And guess what? The rest of your dudes went out here and got drugged and on national TV got drugged again. And by the way, you came out there with Darius Garland. You told Darius Garland all of what he did for this city. Darius Garland, he's stamped in his league. He ain't stamped for nothing. He ain't win no Rookie of the Year. He had 19 points. Listen, DiVincenzo came out there. DiVincenzo was out there looking like Al Pacino. I'm the Godfather. I'm the Godfather today.
It's okay. It's okay.
And guess what we did? We looked around. And Jared Allen.
It's funny, though, because as we're having this conversation, I go back through the season, and there was a couple games throughout the season to where I really was sold on, okay, the mentality, the mindset of this team is totally different.
Right? Fool's gold.
Right, when you see them actually being aggressive or responding to what things other players do on the court, and then you hear them talk about being a tougher team and how this is not the same old Cavs team, that's cool. But this is Debo, right? This is Debo. Like, are you going to go out there like Craig and fight back? That's all I want you to do. Fight back. Like the Cavs as a fan basis right now, like, man, just fight back.
Can you imagine?
Damn.
I know something. I know Earl. I work with Earl, right? What if me and Earl, we getting into a conversation where we debate back and forth? And McNugget said, I'm going to give G. Bush the last word. And I go get my money off and I'm doing my G. Bush thing. And at the end of my monologue, I reach over and just flick Earl's little locks. Here you go, Earl. Take that.
Those are nice.
Bro, he got to fight.
That's fight.
He has to. Listen, I don't care if he likes me. He has to be like, listen, don't touch me no more, though.
Don't touch me,
I like
man.
you, G. Bush, you bigger than me. We cool, you my brother, but don't touch me like that no more. The fact that he let him do that, Jay, was
disrespectful.
Crazy. It was crazy.
It was disrespectful.
And I'm like, because I think a lot of people are taking, my tweet out of context a little bit. They keep saying, well, they're friends. Spider and Josh Hart being friends, no problem. That's your boy. That's your boy.
Not during the 48 minutes.
And Donovan wasn't even playing. But if I'm a player that was on that court at that time, man, listen, that 3-point shot came right after Darius Garland turned the ball over in front of the Cavs bench.
Again.
That sealed the game. He turned around and popped his chain. In that moment, if I'm a player that's on the court for the Cavs,
because the game's over,
man, I'm going to get me a technical foul.
Right.
And I'm going to tell Spider in the locker room, that's your homeboy. That ain't mine. Right? This is our house. You're not finna come in our house and think you finna punk us in front of our fans. And regardless of what it was, I'm just going off of what it looked like. That happened on national TV. So now everybody think you finna come in here and be able to pop our chain?
Who's going to take the technical, though? It wasn't. Sure as heck ain't Jared Allen. Jared Allen can't even listen, somebody need to get with him and get with some people. And I'm not going to go too far, but somebody really need to work with him on his body language. If he misses a shot, if something goes wrong, he's trotting down the court timid. He has his head down. He's moping around. It's almost like you show him any anger and he's willing to wilt. And it's crazy. You got him and Mobley. And besides all that, we haven't even got to the basketball problem. We talking about just tertiary things like
We're talking about the attitude.
hustle. We didn't even talk about the fit.
But here's the thing. All three of us, one of our favorite movies is Remember the Titans. Remember what Big Julius told Gary Bertier? Attitude is a reflection of leadership, right? Look at the New York Knicks. Brunson went down within the first 47 seconds of the game.
They rallied.
And they rallied. They had an 8-man rotation after he went down. 5 starters. They can only play 3 people off the bench, right? And this is what I thought about. The heart, the next man up mentality, the grit, the grind, just the whole mindset is a reflection of their coach.
You aren't kidding.
Thibs,
That's
right?
what he did.
That's a reflection of Thibs.
Yep.
I seen JB Bickerstaff get thoroughly out-coached yesterday. And what's crazy is I got to do a better job, bad job out of me, because I have a tendency to be prisoner of the moment. I seen the Cavs do everything that they were doing, and I was giving JB his flowers because he deserved them. Blinded by the fact that we just throwing up W's. But at the end of the day, once you go up against a real squad, a squad that you know is right there on your level, it's about what you do against the teams that you're supposed to be able to compete with. Not tweeting at me because Darius Garland hit a bunch of threes against Detroit. The Detroit Pistons ain't our problem.
No.
The New York Knicks is. And to see him get thoroughly out-coached like that, that's a further indictment on why people feel like, yeah, regardless of the Cavs winning, this dude needs to go.
Jay, I sent something to McNuggets the other day after the game. I sent him a clip of the press conference, and it was almost Cincinnati Bengals-esque in the way he talked about Brunson going down. And I think the context was
I know what you're saying.
When
When the Browns passing game coordinator, defensive passing game coordinator came out and said,
Shadow Shea.
yeah, well, the Bengals beat us because we just weren't ready for their backups.
Right. This guy,
What?
This guy, JB Bickerstaff, says they asked him, hey, Brunson went down. Do you guys think you took your foot off the gas? Look at this.
Yo, this quote
Look at
right
this.
here.
Now, by the way,
This quote right
That's
here.
the coach.
Look at this.
This right here.
Real quick, Earl, before you read it, because this is my tweet, I put it out there. This is a paraphrase of what he
Yes.
said. This wasn't the word-for-word quote, but this is what he said. And Earl, you can take it from there. I just want to make sure people know it's not exactly word for word. This is
That's
paraphrase.
that's bad enough on its own.
Yeah.
I mean, that right to your point of a team taking on its coach's personality, Tibbs has always been that way. He's always demanded that his guys give that kind of effort. There's no slacking.
Miles McBride came into the game, never left the court, and got buckets.
The rest of the game, he played 47 minutes and 12 seconds or whatever it was after Brunson went down. Didn't come out.
It hurt. And for me, the problem that I have is JB Bickerstaff, and I no disrespect to anybody, and I'm just saying this to give you context. He's a starter coach. He's a guy that you bring in, that he's able to get younger guys and build them up, build their confidence, and continue to get them to play and gel together as a unit. Then you go bring in a Harden, X's and O's guys who's won it before, and so you can snap them into the mindset that they're supposed to be in. When you look at JB, there's 2 or 3 problems with him. First and foremost, he is crossing his arms, running up and down the court, barking at every single call. I'm like, come on, JB, just stop. That was a foul. You know it was a foul. Stop going to these
You
refs.
called him a monster, I think, in one of your tweets.
Just walking up, just, JB, that was a Boy, come on. And then when you get your team and you getting smoked and you get in the huddle, the first thing you do is grabbing a clipboard, running a half court, and looking at nothing, and while your coaching staff surrounds you like you drawing something up. Why don't you get in their face and say, Darius Garland, you throw this ball away again, you will be buried on this bench. Sam Merrill will play for you. Merrill Lynch will be, you may think he gonna play so much, you gonna think that you got investments with him. Merrill Lynch is not playing with you. If I see Jared Allen moping, I told you about your body language, Jared. If anything, smack somebody. I got the fine money. He does none of that. No challenging, nothing.
Let me ask you this, G. So real quick on the JB thing, because that was funny.
Merrill Lynch is crazy.
Every coach complains after every call. JB is not the only
Yeah,
coach
but
who does it.
now wait a minute.
Well, hold
Wait a
on.
minute.
Every coach does it.
It gets excessive at times, and
It's
when it crosses the
crazy.
line, you're only hurting yourself.
I'm just saying.
And I
it's
agree.
Not
When
an isolated JB issue. It's around the league.
I know, but this
he's
was
the most
excessive.
egregious.
I thought this was excessive too. Worry about your damn team.
I'm just saying it's not a only JB. And now listen, I'm not watching on TV last night. I'm not sure if they showed 100 ISOs. I was there, so I'm kind of watching the game. So if he was complaining more than usual, I'm not watching on the TV. Where
In
they show some of
general,
that.
it's more than usual.
But they all complain like crazy. But my
He's
question
right.
is,
But we have our microscope on JB,
No,
and I
and
said
that's
yesterday.
fair. That's fair. Yeah,
I
that's
said
fair.
yesterday. I said, man, he can use a little bit of Kevin Stefanski in him.
He just
He can use a little bit of Kevin in him.
Yeah, just chill.
just
But
chill,
my
bro.
question, though, before we go to the next part of the Cavs discussion, we're going to make that second clip in a sec. We all agree, and I'm with you guys. Today, right now, February 4th, Cavs are a soft basketball team.
Yes, they are.
Can you fix that by the postseason?
No.
Is that something
No.
that Tristan
No,
Thompson
it's a
coming
construct
back in?
problem.
No.
No, it's
Or
a
is
construct
that,
problem.
that is what it is?
Yep.
I never believe that you can fix toughness.
I don't
right?
either.
I don't like so.
That's a DNA trait. That's
right.
not a
I think it's
practice
something
trait.
that my daddy used to tell me all the time. And you either born this way or you not. Like I can't teach you to be an alpha man.
Yeah.
That's something that's either inside of you that will sprout on its own as you get older, or simply that you simply don't have. And
I
not
agree.
everybody has it. And so when you talk about a mentality, a state of mind, an attitude, or way of going about business, you can't develop toughness, right? You can't develop heart. That is something that's in you. And when you have these opportunities to really like show like the growth, the measurement of where you are now compared to last year, last night was the perfect opportunity. I tweeted out before the game started. I say, man, game day, go Cavs. I need the big Cavs to show up, not the little one. I understood they had injuries. I understood that Donovan may or may not play. But my whole mindset was forget who may or may not be out there. This team has your number.
Probably the Knicks, by the way.
Right. When you see that logo, when you see that nickname on that jersey, you need to be locked in, ready to go, and make sure on national TV, on your home court, that you won't come out here and get embarrassed. They got out-coached, out-embarrassed, and embarrassed.
Outplayed.
Shout out to Gilbert Arenas. He said this, and I respect him for it. He said, I listen to a lot of these old timers, a lot of these dudes that grew up in what we say is the heyday of the NBA. And he said, you know what? I got respect for a lot of them, but a lot of them, I can't respect them for their competitive nature. And I was like, dang, I need to see what he's saying. You see, there's a lot of teams in the 80s and a lot of really great players that died and their career ended with no rings. And half of the reason they perished and didn't get no rings was because there was this infatuation with the admiration of Michael Jordan. Instead of you going at Michael Jordan, you watched him hit 50 on you. Instead of you going at Michael Jordan, we still got some of these guys. We talk about it. Charles Barkley, you're still praising him. You're still, hey, you still going to the golf course getting smoked by him. You're still betting on the blackjack tables getting smoked by him. You got a lot of people that play for a lot of different teams, and they all were so infatuated with Michael Jordan and the narrative of being the greatest of all time that y'all forgot that you got hands too, that you got a career too. What happened to you wanting it that bad? What happened to it? As we fast forward to today, I'm looking at the guys on this team and being like, you're a match player. You're a guy that says you want to be known as this guy, want to be a top 10 player in the league. You're a guy that they said you were a unicorn, but all these young boys is coming up, the Wemby's, the Chet Holmgrens, and you don't add nothing to your game. You said Jared Allen, the lights was too bright last year. You had an opportunity to remedy that this year, and you did nothing of it. And so every single time that people want to get mad and say, well, why aren't they doing anything for the Cavs? Why aren't you? It's because of that. You guys don't put max effort out. You don't go out there and play like it's your last day. And I'm tired of going at the Guardians, and I'm tired of going at the Browns, and we do it for 35, 36 weeks out of the year, and we break down every syllable of what's going on with the Browns. But the Cavs get up here and feel like because they give us 45 games, they get an ultimate hall pass. Y'all not getting no hall passes. I repeat, we got a championship ring, and we got them rings before you was here. So let's not act like you're doing us some favors by coming out here playing. We know what championship basketball is, and this is not it.
It was essentially for the right for a potential home playoff game. when you're playing a team for a tie break, you could be talking about the difference between being home or being on the road in a playoff series. And they acted like the game had no meaning whatsoever. And the Knicks played it like it was the game
that
of their
game
life.
had more meaning than what people think. Mike, I know you need to go on, but like on that night in that atmosphere, honoring Nick Gilbert, the whole
I thought that was another thing.
The whole
another
atmosphere, it was just like, it was a major letdown. That was probably the worst loss of the season.
Yeah, that was the initial question, and I wouldn't debate that.
It's a hard loss to swallow considering they were down to 8 players a minute into the game. And without Brunson on the court, theoretically the Cavs should have had the 3 best players.
Should have.
Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and last night Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo.
I always say it. The one thing a box score doesn't measure, Hart.
That's a good one. And we're going to talk one thing that was a positive from the game last night. But before we do that, if you want to go to the Cavs-Celtics game tomorrow night, tickets are available. And if you're going to buy tickets online, you better be using Game Time to make sure you guys get the best price. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices and views from your seat to make sure you get the best deal possible. Just download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, that is create an account on the Game Time app. Use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. We'll talk Browns in a sec, but one thing we do have to acknowledge from last night was Sam Merrill's sharp shooting. He's developed into an absolute weapon on the perimeter off the bench for the Cavs. His minutes are in flux. Some games he plays 28 minutes like last night. Some games he gets DMP coaches' decisions. Do you guys think Sam Merrill has earned constant minutes in the rotation, even when everyone else is healthy? Has he done enough in your eyes to earn that right? Last night he had 7 threes, and now because of Tegna's legal work, we're allowed to show you some of those threes. So
thank goodness.
While you guys are talking, enjoy some Sam Merrill.
I tweeted it out yesterday, Mike. I'm sure you seen it. I said, and another thing, Sam Merrill bat not have another damn DNP for the rest of the season. That dude is a walking bucket. And for a team that's attempting to shoot 43-point shots a game, you need to also hit those shots. And Sam Merrill continues to prove every single time he steps on the court that he's a certified bucket getter. You need dudes who can go get a bucket. Damn the defense, damn all the other special numbers or whatever. This dude go get points. And you need somebody that can go get a bucket. Sam Merrill better not have another damn DNP for the remainder of this season.
And one thing with Sam Merrill, before you guys chime in here, the way he moves off the ball and his ability to release it in less than half a second.
That was my favorite one.
That was my favorite one. A great example of
exactly. Yeah, it's incredible how quickly he can release the ball, and just it takes 1 or 2 steps either way just to create a small shooting window for a guy. And he's doing it off the dribble too. Twice last night, he took it off the dribble, which is something he hadn't done that much in prior games. Watch Niang here. He's spot shadowed. Goes up. Nope. Defender gets lazy. Goes to the corner.
Wide open.
He is by far their best off-ball mover. And for me, his gravitational pull, that one, like you said, it goes up in half a second. I don't know how you don't find consistent minutes for him moving forward.
Mike,
I don't think it's possible.
We've been through eras in the league. We had a big man era, right? We had a tough man era. We're
it's the shooting era.
Undeniably, we are currently in the shooter's era. And I don't know that we'll ever transition out of it again because of how punishing the three-point goal is. You've got an assassin. You have a sniper, and I'm really glad that you highlighted the fact that it's that one quick sidestep or that quick dribble to get free. In some cases, he's shooting threes that you know are going in before it goes in because he's wide open.
Look at that, man.
It's really impressive. And here's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is the Cavs don't even understand what they have.
No.
How can there ever be a single game where this guy's not on the floor?
No.
Yet, now, Mikey, we keep going back to it.
Do it, Jay. Do it.
We keep going back to it.
He has to play.
But I'm going to go back to it again. You know how you make sure he's an integral part of this team?
Play him.
How do you play him?
Over Karis LeVert and George Niang when they're not making jump shots.
Oh, that's the only option?
Well, I mean, you want to go 4 out, 1 in. That is a very valuable option.
Mike don't want to say it.
He don't want to say it.
Mike knows
what I'm going.
Mike don't want to go there.
Listen, he's not going to take Darius Garland's minutes. Those aren't the minutes he's taking.
Oh.
He's not taking Darius Garland. There are minutes to take away from Karis LeVert. There are minutes. George Niang, who I love, awesome dude. can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. His minutes can go out the window.
I'm gonna let you know. Listen,
Help me, G. Help me. I know.
I'm gonna keep it real.
I'm gonna set up.
Hey, listen.
I'm gonna set
With all
up.
due respect, that's an absurd. There are other minutes to take away from for Sam Merrill.
No.
He deserves to play. It's not Darius Garland's minutes. Come on now.
Hey, listen, come on now. Let me talk to you about Darius
Don't even
Garland.
put me in that clip. Like, I'm
Don't-
going to be associated with this clip now. I
don't-
can't even be
hold on.
associated
No,
with
you in this clip.
Oh, you're in this clip.
Hey, let me tell you about this. You know what I see over and over again? I see when, and I like Darius Garland. He hit like 8 threes or something against Detroit, right? Yes, Detroit. You know what I noticed in this game? I noticed in this game that, once again, he's a one-trick pony. If I can see it and you can see it, they can see it. Dribble, pivot, dribble under the basket, probe, dribble, get double team, throw the ball away. He's a liability defensively. If Sam Merrill's a liability defensively, then Darius Garland is a triple liability. I'm not saying that you're going to put Darius Garland on the bench, but one of the things that I don't believe in is having Darius Garland as the primary point guard handling the ball in crunch time. Tell him to go sit in that corner and get ready to shoot. Because what he's doing and turning the ball over in the fourth quarter is crazy. It's nuts. And my thing is, too.
Big spots, too, G.
Big. Last night, same thing. I'm looking around like, oh, here comes the turnover. There it is.
Three down the stretch, G. 3 down the stretch.
Here's what I'm saying. Sam Merrill being DNP is enough to be a fireable offense.
Facts.
That's
facts.
playing
That
is
is facts.
a fireable
That is facts.
offense on its own face.
On his own merit.
And by the way, he does it when Harris LeVert may be out. You may look at George Niang or somebody else on the bench may be out, and all of a sudden, Sam Merrill's been shooting 40-something% since day one when he came into the league, and yet and still you can't. And they ask him about it. Yeah, Sam's earned the right. Stop telling me these stupid cliches. Put the man on the court. Get your rotations together. As a coach, he hasn't improved on not one thing. He's still always learning lessons, but never coming into the knowledge of.
You know what's funny to me is, again, I don't know what the answer is with Garland and Mobley. I don't. All I know is what my eyes told me. And my eyes told me that they were playing their best basketball of the year when those guys were in street clothes.
Can't argue.
Jay, I said it. To me, again, Darius Garland is talented, but to me, he's very inconsistent.
Listen, he is talented, but he's a chip. I know he's a max. The contract kills. It kills
Contract
trying
kills
to move him.
The contract,
Because he's not a max player, and you're paying him max.
It's just like, damn, man. It's like, in that fourth quarter, I seen the good and the bad. I seen Darius Garland hit 2 clutch-ass threes.
I did too.
Around the 8:45-minute mark in the fourth quarter that we really, really needed. But I also seen him have 3 straight horrible possessions in the last 3.5 minutes of the game. And those possessions cost us. I mean, they ultimately ended up costing us the game. Now, there was a lot of other things that led to the Cavaliers not winning the game. This is not my words, but somebody close to me texted me this, and he said this. I sit up every day, and I hear Deshaun Watson's name get smeared because he makes $230 million. Meanwhile, more often than not, Darius Garland is the highest paid player on the court, and he plays like straight ass.
Yeah, it's hard to dispute that.
One thing that my eyes have told me, and I don't have the number. I'll look into this for the Ultimate Cav show on Wednesday this week. It's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. When they play 2 bigs, nobody seems to struggle more in 2 big sets versus 1 big sets than Garland.
I agree.
The lack of space, for whatever reason, and I don't have an answer. He seems to be affected more by the lack of space created by 2 non-shooting bigs than anyone else.
What is your theory on that?
He's a little point guard who is an aggressive driver, leaves his feet a lot, and then is forced to make passes through the trees. And when you have 2 bigs sitting in the paint, there's
not enough space.
28 feet of arms in the lane, and it gets tipped. I don't know if the numbers back it up. That's what my eye test tells me.
So I don't think you're wrong. I would like to see what the numbers tell us as well. I'll go back to the ratings that you gave us on Mobley, Allen, when they're in the games alone and when they're in the game together. All of these numbers now are starting to bear out what we saw when they were 18-2. And when I first brought up the idea of maybe you move one of these guys, maybe
You have to.
If you didn't learn from the stretch of 18-2 that you can survive it. In fact, you may be even better without them and getting pieces that you know you're going to need once they're gone. And it doesn't, the max contract thing is absurd.
It kills him.
It's just absurd. Nobody's going to want to swallow that because everybody else knows what he is too. Can he score? Yeah. He's a better version of Colin Sexton is what he is.
And we went through that, and all the Colin Sexton guys talked about how Darius Garland was the next evolutionary step. He's the same person, the same guy. And might I add, he's a less physical version of Colin Sexton.
Yeah, Colin Sexton did, I think, have a little bit more physicality to his game.
I just know, I bet not see another damn Cavs game and Sam Merrill don't play.
I don't understand.
That's all I know. That's all I need to know. Like,
and by the way,
last point, G, all you.
By the way, when I look at this, and this is my problem with Cleveland a lot. If Sam Merrill, just take him off the squad, and you tell him to go play for the Lakers.
Oh my God!
You take him off the squad, go let him play for the Heat. You take him off the squad, put him in Philadelphia. You take him off any of these teams, put him with a contending team and a half-decent coach that understands what a skill set looks like, and they would beat us to death. They would wipe our face in the fact that we let Sam Merrill go. But we got somebody on the sideline that does, I don't know if he knows how to evaluate talent. I don't know if he knows how to incorporate it. And the fact that you got a guy that can hit 10 threes in a game and you still trying to quote unquote find minutes for him is absurd. It's absurd.
Last point, we'll talk a little Browns. Any trade the Cavs make, they're handcuffed till they know what's up with Mitchell. Like, unfortunately, that's the reality situation. Until they know what's going to happen with Donovan.
That's why I said before the deadline, you go to Mitchell and you have a serious conversation. Do you want to be here or not? Feet to the fire time. Here's an extension. We don't want to build this around you for a minute. We want this for a decade. If you commit to us, we commit to you that we're going to make moves that will make this team a contender. Yeah. Period. Full stop. They accidentally found out what their best team looks like, and now they've gone ahead and intentionally screwed that up.
Until Mitchell makes a move, they are handcuffed. All right, we're going to talk a little Browns in a second. Speaking of Browns, as we do every Monday, the Ultimate Brown Show with G. Bush airs at 5 o'clock today. It's G. Bush, 30 minutes uninterrupted of all Browns coverage. We talked with Quincy Carrier on Friday about some draft combine prospects. G, what's on the agenda for today's Ultimate
We got
Brown Show?
Tyvis Powell in the building. He's coming in. We're going to talk about this Mike Evans situation. He's going to calm me down. I need to know from Tyvis. He got to give me 3 or 4 more prospects that we can go after. These names is getting down to the nitty-gritty. And we definitely going to also talk about the potential of going to get a defensive player and make a defensive forefront, not just offense. So Tyvis will be on breaking it down today.
You funny.
I
heard you had the range gassed up. You was going to go to Hopkins and pick up Mike Evans.
I did. I had the car ready.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Mike Evans, that is exactly where our next topic leads us. I want to read you a quote from Mike Evans' agent over the weekend. It was reported that Mike Evans would hit the open market, and this is what Mike Evans' agent said. And
his
I
agent
quote,
played it well.
Mike wants to play with an elite quarterback in an offense that will showcase him and be paid like a top receiver. He doesn't want to play with a rookie quarterback. Winning a Super Bowl is a key priority. Fast forward to this morning, and Steve Take Tag board full.
Deal done.
Deal done with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2-year, $52 million deal.
Done.
35 guaranteed. He has a real chance to start and finish his career as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Good for him.
The question was going to be today, do the Browns fit that criteria for Mike Evans? But this is the second marquee receiver in a row we've seen, in theory, linked to the Browns. DeAndre Hopkins last year say, I want to play for a Super Bowl. That's my top priority. I want to play with a great quarterback. Now it's the second receiver in a row who, theoretically speaking, has opted for the bag over what he said prior to hitting free agency. So before we talk about the next
wait a minute. Can it be both? They're not mutually exclusive.
You think he believes he can win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay?
He clearly does. You're staring at me like they don't have a chance. I mean,
They
You
did go
think
to
Tampa Bay's in the small circle of Super Bowl contenders?
I think Tampa Bay is a
Well-
franchise that got a damn good culture. This is a team.
Why not, Mike?
I mean, think about it. Todd Bowles
mean-
is the head coach, but Arians kind of like presented the culture. They have a Super Bowl culture.
And look how close they came to beating the Lions.
Yeah,
and the Lions are in that circle, that very small circle. If you want to say there's 4 teams that you can say are favorites.
the
The Lions are in that.
Detroit's
The Bucks
closer.
damn near beat them in Detroit.
Wasn't that game a little less close than the final score indicated? It wasn't a 14-point game till a late touchdown in the pick. Am I remember that wrong?
I mean, things
I
happen
don't-
late, but that game was back and forth a lot.
If you flip a coin,
Put it this way, they came a hell of a lot closer to winning a second-round playoff game than the Browns did to winning a wild card game.
Facts.
I'm not going to
So,
debate whatsoever.
Is he going to win a Super Bowl? Probably not.
but
All things considered, his agent, I think, did a masterful job here. His agent blasted out a statement that basically said, my guy wants to go win a Super Bowl. He put the Bucks' feet to the fire. You want him or not? Let's not play any games. Let's not piss around. You want him? Sign him. This is the number it's going to take.
I guess it was a little closer. It was a 14-point game with 6 minutes left. Tampa Bay drove down. Mike Evans caught the touchdown. that
Yes,
made
they
it
did.
An 8-point
And
game.
if you go back further, Mike Evans dropped the touchdown pass
Yep.
in that
Well,
game.
he had a monster game in
He
the
did.
playoffs. He had a very, very 8 catches, 147 yards. and
he
a
did drop a
but
touchdown pass.
Did they give Baker the bag?
Not yet.
Is that a fit? What was rumored? 120 million?
If you go by Spotrac, which is the only website that gives the projected free agency
Right.
contracts beforehand, Spotrac is not perfect by any
No,
means,
they've missed
so-
some big ones.
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt, but it was like 115 over 4 years, just shy of about 30 million a year. for
Yeah,
Baker.
and well, let's say this. We talked about this even when we started mentioning Mike Evans' names. You know, we all said that's a little bit of a far fetch. When you got a guy like Mike Williams who's played his whole career at Tampa Bay, he has a Hall of Fame type resume. Of course, he wants to finish. He plays in Florida. It's nice down there. They love him down there.
No state tax.
No taxes. That's a no-brainer. Why would you want to come and then reacclimate yourself? Because that, to be truthful, that's his city. Like if you say Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the first person you think of is Mike Evans. Like so, he's that dude down there. We knew that it was going to be far-fetched with him and T. Higgins, and I think that influx of money into the salary cap is rearing its ugly head, right? Because not only did it help the Browns, but it also helped other teams. It also helped.
It helps
guys
other teams keep their stars.
their
Yeah,
guys.
for sure. I mean, to Mike's question, I think he got the bag, and Mike Evans is on a damn good team. He's already won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you look at their roster, for the most part, they got a lot of young, talented dudes on both sides of the football.
do.
They got a coach in Todd Bowles who's been there with the organization for a long time. Bruce Arians, from what I understand, is still with the organization. He's just upstairs. So when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers culture of what it is, you look at the roster that's around him, and he had a good season with Baker Mayfield. I'm pretty sure Baker Mayfield will be back as the quarterback. There was not much reason for him to uproot himself from his situation.
I
at all.
agree. It's not like they were 4-12 or 4-13 like everyone said there.
Like-
Remember, this team, by most of the experts, were picked to finish with 5 wins.
Yeah.
And now, granted, they sneaked by in a bad division.
9-8 in the worst division in football.
Yeah,
I
but
just
the
don't
way
think-
the way it played out, and the way once they had a nice win in the playoffs against an Eagles team that pretty much self-imploded, but was still a team that could have won the Super Bowl just 12 months earlier, and they defeated them handily. Then they went to Detroit. Few gave them a chance. They played right with the Lions and gave the Lions all they wanted. So I don't think they're very far away. And if you're judging things, well, is Cleveland closer? What hurt me about this is he basically, and I'm not saying it came down to the Browns and the Bucks because I don't think it did, but he was choosing between Baker Mayfield and other quarterbacks as well, Deshaun Watson among them, and he chose Baker.
Well, let me ask you guys this, G, because this is the bigger picture now because Evans is clearly out of the picture. Higgins was franchise tagged. I was using Hopkins and Evans saying they got the bag. It's just 2 guys who ended up taking very favorable deals to go wherever they went. Not even saying they shunned the Browns, just wherever they went. Do you think wide receivers, as we look at the rest of the market, Gabe Davis, Marquise Brown, Calvin Ridley, whoever else you could throw into that category, is it going to come down to whichever team throws them the most money? Or do you believe any of those guys would take just for hypothetical reasons, I'm not saying this would be the case with Cleveland, would take a little bit of a discount to come play with the Browns? Or not even a discount, but if another team, let's use the Giants.
Just say all things are equal.
Let's use the Giants for an example. The Giants were going to pay 4 years for $70 million, but the Browns were only willing to go 4 years for $60.
No.
Do you believe all receivers would take the money just because
Yes.
that's the situation?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the proper scenario, correct me if I'm wrong, would be if the Giants were offering 4 years 70 and the Browns were offering 4 years and 70.
Right.
Because now you're apples to apples. Players are going to take the money.
Especially
They're
at that
going to take
at
the
that
money.
position.
And
At that position.
And
At
at
that
that
position.
and at that point in your life, like, let's be clear. We're all working, and even this analogy is for people that just work regular jobs. You know, you get married, you have kids, you got younger kids, you're in your mid-30s, and you get an opportunity to take a job over here, and they're gonna pay you almost 30-40% more than you're getting paid. Just by the fact that they're gonna pay you that, as a man, you have to almost be obligated to look at it that and take that.
You're obligated to look at it.
Yeah.
Certainly.
You have to.
You have to consider that. Now, it doesn't mean you have to take it.
Right.
There are a lot of things, happiness can be considered a second paycheck.
Yes.
Facts.
And messing with the devil you know versus the devil you don't. Someone gave me wise advice. Don't F with happy.
And Mike Evans obviously didn't F with happy.
Right. He's good where he is.
He said, Baker threw me the ball. I got 1,300. I had 13 touchdowns, one of the best years.
Yeah.
I'm in Florida.
Now,
take it.
How do you get a guy to forget about happy? You throw big dollars at him. You throw Deshaun Watson type deals. Deshaun Watson said no to Cleveland. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah,
Remember?
he did.
He said no to Cleveland.
And then he said,
they wrote a bigger check, and he's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I can go to Cleveland.
Look, when they slide you that check, when they slide you that number across the table, and it's folded up, and you look at it, and you say,
You can't say yes fast enough because you're afraid they're going to change
My
their mind.
father used to always tell me, man, like, ain't nothing broke unless you broke. He used to say, money don't buy happiness, but ain't nothing broke unless you broke.
That's a good
So, I mean, that's a two-way street. When I look at this wide receiver market now, I think we had a vision of how it will look like by the time we get to free agency. But I'm starting to come to this realization that by the time we get to free agency, all the guys we talked about, I mean, Higgins is already off the board. Evans is off the board. Michael Pittman Jr., he'll be off the board.
And we framed our discussions early in February. These guys are not going to be available.
It's going to be like a mid-level market. And if I'm the Browns, I'm not overpaying for mid just to satisfy my fan base. I think the best course of action to go get a stud, if you can, which you probably won't be able to, is to try to see if you can trade for one. But the reality of the situation is Andrew Berry is just going to have to hit on one of these draft picks at wide receiver. And I got a guy.
Hope ain't a plan, bro.
I saw him I was watching this tape after I seen him on social media yesterday, right? There was 2 wide receivers that came out of a particular school that look pretty damn good in the NFL right now. Ahmad St. Brown for the Detroit Lions, and Michael Pittman for the Colts. Both of them dudes went to USC. It's a dude that's coming out of USC this year that's a son of a Hall of Famer, by the way, that I pray to God the Browns can get their hands on.
Yeah, but how, though? You got to move way up to do it.
I don't know if he's projected as a first-round pick, but it's Jerry Rice.
Wait. He's not?
Brandon Rice? No, he's like a 4th, 5th round projection.
Oh, I thought he was way higher than that.
No.
Dude got some skills.
Now, remember, Jerry, too. Jerry went to Mississippi Valley State.
Yeah.
And where was Jerry drafted?
1 sec, I'll tell you.
Those guys,
he got drafted.
Another one was Walter Payton. Walter Payton played
Jackson
at
State.
Jackson State, and a lot of those guys can slip through the cracks. But when you have pedigree like that, I'm sorry, I don't see Rice going in the 4th or 5th round.
Jerry was a 1st-round pick.
Okay, I don't see his son being a 4th or 5th round pick.
It's a deep draft.
All I'm saying is when it comes to the Browns, I'm looking at the free agency market, and I think that the market is not going to be what we think it's going to be. It's going to be hard to trade for a stud wide receiver. You just gonna keep shooting the shot, man. I hope one go in.
You know what? You gotta hope. You gotta Puka Nacua it.
Yeah,
that's what you have to do.
You have to.
You have to hit on a guy that slips because when you start talking about trade, you got to ask about the currency that it's going to take to get pieces. Now, is Geno a piece that you could move? and potentially move up? Maybe.
They got
They've got players they could move.
I look at it this way. I always give the analogy. When I got divorced and you got back in the dating market and I didn't know what the heck I was. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I'm almost 40 years old trying to go on dates. This is not what I signed up for. And you get a roster of people. You go on date sites and you look at the people and you say, okay, let's see if I match with this person, right? And you got people you can technically date them all the way down to the age of 19, right? Technically, right? But guess what? I ain't got no time to be waiting on that. You got too much energy. You be want to go on vacations. You still probably think that this was
clubbing.
Go clubbing. Let's go out with a drink with my friend. Girl, if you don't, I need somebody, a veteran. I need a vet that understands that when I get off work at 6 o'clock, we ain't about to go hang out.
So you're not going into the draft.
I ain't going deep and digging into no draft looking for no third-round receiver that's going to save
G
my
really lost me with this analogy, man.
No, it's good. I like it.
I'm gone. Go good.
You because you're counting on somebody. You're a grown man. You got
unproven.
A job.
I don't know.
That person unproven. I want kids. I want a mortgage. And this person at that point in their life is not worried about none of the things
you've been burned by the Anthony Schwartzes and the David Bells. Like you've been to that well.
No,
but what else you gonna do?
Go for what you know.
Give me that. It's gonna take a little bit more, right? If you want one of them veterans that understand the game, the veterans ain't gonna play with you. You got to revamp what you're doing. They not gonna play for no games. You better be. Hey, understand? We texting. Understand this is the way you dress. Understand this is the way you act, and stop doing all that. The veterans don't like that. You got to take that second round pick.
Plus something else.
Put something else. And go get you something you know.
Here's how you can tell. Like the Browns said, we're not sure about David Bell. We're going to keep him a little while longer. Here's how you know. Call all 31 teams and say, third round pick for David Bell. You getting any takers?
No. Zero.
You're right.
Cedric Tillman.
So cut and move on.
You're right.
He ain't it. Don't let him take up a roster spot.
To me, I think G New is I think he can ball, but I think he is a perfect piece because Cam Mitchell is a natural slot corner.
I agree.
I think that when it comes down to it and Andrew Berry makes a decision, who am I going to pay, MJ Emerson or G New? I think we all know he's going to play MJ. Then you
but
look
there is a spot for him. Like there's a commodity. He's a commodity.
I was about to say,
just not on this
20
roster.
or 32 teams in the NFL
would want him.
Can use a number one or number two corner.
Yep.
And if Greg Newsome wants to get paid like a number one corner,
I'm
pretty sure he's open to being traded if it means he's going to get the bag elsewhere, right? Like I did an exercise 2 weeks ago, and I was just reading of all the different teams who could use a corner. Philadelphia, for example.
Yeah.
Like their number one corner is aging, missed 4 or 5 games due to injury. They don't have a solid number two corner. You look at Detroit, all 3 of their top corners were probably the worst group of corners combined in the entire NFL last year. They gave up like 7.4 yards per reception, which was third worst in the entire NFL.
And you know who they got on their roster.
So these are just 2 examples of teams that you can use as trade partners to try to pry away an offensive weapon. Now, the chances of that happening, I don't know, because people value these pass catchers. I'm just saying, like, it's going to be – you're going to have to find a different way to go get an impact player because it's not going to be, I don't think, an impact player that's going to be on the wide receiver.
If last year –
free agency
last
budget.
year's offseason was the year of the D-line.
Yeah.
Check. Move on to the next. This year's offseason has to be the year of the wide receiver.
Got to.
And I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know.
And there are some receivers who showed out well at the combine that G will talk about some point this week, who we thought could be on the board at 54. May have moved their way up beforehand.
He's off the board
Before
now.
we talk about a defensive guy here, I want to mention, I want to remind everybody that you can get buckets on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We talked on the offensive side of the ball. How about we talk about the defensive side of the ball? Earl, you mentioned potentially spending a lot of money on a defensive player, and one guy who has been linked to the Cleveland Browns now is Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle out of Miami, who is unlikely to get the franchise tag. In an article on ESPN.com about the Dolphins deciding not to extend the franchise tag to Christian Wilkins, which, by the way, the deadline's tomorrow. That could always change, but at this point, it looks unlikely. Jeremy Fowler wrote, and I quote, Houston is an intriguing option here. The Texans have ample cap space, a quarterback early on a rookie deal, and a playoff roster. But there would be several teams in the mix, though. The Browns, good for a splash or two, for instance. Would they strengthen an already stout defensive line with a versatile DT? So, Earl, is Christian Wilkins someone you'd be interested in backing the Brinks truck up for?
So what I've seen is, like, I'm a very emotional dude, and I'm triggered easily. And the last thing I need is for my emotions to be played with. And so when I seen Christian Wilkins and the Cleveland Browns in the same sentence, like, I was like, man, stop playing with me, man. Like, stop playing with me like that. Listen, I understand that he might make projected to somewhere around 23, 24 million a year if he hits the open market. And that's a pretty penny. But this is a dude who is coming off his rookie deal, first round pick out of Clemson, drafted in 2019, has been nothing short of dominant since he's been in the NFL. I think that if you're not going to do it on offense, whether it be interior defensive lineman or a pass rusher opposite of Myles Garrett, if you can go get a solid stud defensive lineman to complement everything that you have right now and make a unit that's already damn good, damn near unstoppable, then you go do so. Like, I think I'm at a point to where I'm tired of seeing the one-year deals handed out to the veterans at the defensive tackle position, the one-year deals handed out to the defensive ends. Like, pick one of those two positions, go get you a young stud that's going to hit the market, that's coming off their rookie deal, and solidify either that defensive tackle or that opposite edge rusher to Myles Garrett for the next 4 or 5 seasons.
But here's my problem with that. It's the allocation of resources. You only have so many chips. Mm-hmm. And if you put all your chips in this basket, that gives you fewer chips in the basket that we said is most needed this year, wide receiver. I looked at San Francisco and Philadelphia, made moves in the last 10 months that made me at the time say, oh, it's now like New York Yankees $30 million contracts unfair. When the Eagles drafted how they drafted and got the best available, I said, oh, it's a wrap. They've got the best defensive line maybe ever. And then when the Niners went out and made the trade for Chase Young, I'm like, it's over. It's over. Neither of those teams won a Super Bowl. And they had a plethora of talent at that position. What did the Chiefs have? They had Myles Garrett. They had one monster.
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
You said Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying he's their version of Myles Garrett.
Sorry.
Okay? So Jones is to the Chiefs what Myles is to the Browns.
That dude with a bunch of dudes around him.
Exactly. And so I thought at the time, oh my God, the Eagles are playing chess here. They're just going to make it impossible for opposing quarterbacks to have any success against them at all because they've got waves of talent. And it's deep and it's all over. Mm-hmm. And then when the Niners got Chase Young, I said the same thing. I'm like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't stand a chance. I know that Patrick Mahomes is the centerpiece of the NFL. But the Eagles made moves that were supposed to trump that, and it didn't. So that tells me that although defensive end or guys that get after the quarterback it's now become the second most important position in the NFL. But if we have to wonder about will it ever become number one, I think that last year's season was evidence that it won't. A great quarterback is still going to trump an unbelievably deep defensive line. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we have the Chris Jones. We have the equivalent with the Browns. You put some nice pieces around him, and that should be enough. What you have to do is you have to have the elite quarterback. And how do you make really good quarterbacks better? Give them really good wide receivers. And so I think if you allocate too many receivers to the defensive line position and adding Christian, because look, this move would be exactly what the Niners and the Eagles did in the last 12 months. Exactly. Oh my God, they're doubling down on that position. I think that the answer is in the question. You can't overlook the importance of the offense in this deal. And the Eagles and Niners made bets, and their bets were on defense, and they didn't get the trophy. So look, would I love them? Absolutely. But not at the expense of getting a Christian Wilkins equivalent at wide receiver.
Oh, they have to have that.
But I don't know how you get both.
They have to.
I think
what
it's
do you
going to have to
think,
come
G?
down to one or the other.
Is Wilkins a guy you'd be able to be willing to back the Brinks truck up for, essentially?
Well, see, Jay just really, in the cliff notes of what he said, he basically said, the only way you win is Operation Stockpile. You got to have defense and offense, not one or the other. Yeah, I'll give Christian Wilkins that check, but here's 3 more people that need to get restructured.
Right.
Come on in.
And those are rumored to be coming.
Right. Come on here.
I had an idea.
Restructuring.
The Chubb,
and
the
Watson has to happen.
He's restructuring every year.
That could free up enough
I ain't seen you in
money.
a week. I told him I would give Myles Garrett a brand new contract right now. I think he's earned it. Hear me out, right?
Ooh.
I think his cap hit, according to Over the Cap, Mike, check this out. I think it's like $20 million.
Earl, I know for a fact that's correct, and not only do I agree with you, I think it's the most obvious move the Browns make this offseason.
Yeah. He's coming off winning.
More so than restructuring Deshaun Watson's contract.
Absolutely.
All of them is coming in there.
Because
Deshaun Watson's is
he just won Defensive Player of the Year. You're going to have to give him a new deal, Jay, within the next season or 2 anyway. And I think this is the perfect time to do it.
How much time does he have left on his current deal?
I believe this year, then 2 more.
Okay, so what's the urgency?
Because we want.
I don't know what he's going to look like in
That
4
cap,
years.
that $20 million this year, it won't be that. You give him a brand new contract, that $20 million, all of a sudden, that's not
But
that.
here's what we
it's
don't
probably
know.
$1
though.
million.
Here's what we don't know. What is he going to look like in 4 years? We've got him for 3 years. Hell, I got to make sure that we, and I think Myles Garrett might even tell you this. Get me some pieces to win. I want to win.
How we get his pieces is we need to give him a new contract and kick that can down the road. Basically, what they're going to do is give him a new deal and give him a bunch of upfront money right now. Then we take that money that we would have had allocated to the cap. Now all of a sudden it's looking like we got $15 million off that, and we go to Amari Cooper. Hey Amari, we love you so much. We gonna kick your can down the road. Amari Cooper might be on this team 34 years old. Might be a shell of himself.
Can't you, in restructuring Watson, look at the freedom that's going to give you? It's going to give you more than if you do.
So, Jay, you were here last week when Jason Lloyd talked about it. He asked Andrew Berry directly at the Combine. And you go back, this is from Thursday, or I think it was Thursday's show when Jason said this. He asked Andrew Berry directly, is restructuring Watson an offseason priority for you? He said not necessarily. So Jason wrote a whole article on it. Now, I think it'll still happen. But the reason you may not restructure Watson's contract is if you're not convinced Deshaun will get back to Deshaun by just keep kicking it makes it harder to get out
I
of the
understand
deal,
that.
Which is why I think Myles, who right now just won Defensive Player of the Year, is no longer the highest paid edge rusher. He's closer to 5 than he is to 1 at this point. You could give him an extension, give it all in bonuses, and make that cap hit go from 20 to about $8 million, open up $12 more million in free agency, which, by the way, I think happens, and I think Deshaun happens too. I still think Deshaun happens.
Of the two, I just think Deshaun's a bigger priority. It would be
you
for
could
me.
open up about $30 million in cap space by restructuring Deshaun.
I know. That's massive.
And I believe, to me, that's why I keep saying it. It's not a knock against Deshaun Watson. I'm not knocking his skill set or saying that he can't get back to where he is. But what you want to do is you want to give him and the Browns the best opportunity. You just want a puncher's chance. That's all you want. You want a puncher's chance going into a game where you may be playing Joe Burrow. And you know what you need with that? I feel good saying I got the best defensive line in the game. I got Amari Cooper, who's my number 2 receiver. I got a speed receiver that can get deep. And I got Nick Chubb and another back that's ready to go. And I got another number 1 receiver. I believe the Browns have to come out of this with 2 receivers. Either way. You either get a free agent, you trade for one, or you draft. Some combination, but I think you got to go into this thing saying, I need a receiver that's better than Amari Cooper. Because now I slide him to the 2, and now this thing looks completely different.
That's going to be the hardest part of it.
That's
going to be the hardest part of it. I do understand the thinking of it, though, because I thought about it, too. Like, you could go get somebody that you might have graded up here, but then you can go get somebody that you might have graded 2 or 3 steps down but you might view better than Tillman and
Yes.
Bale, right? So I think that Andrew Berry will work his magic. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. If you restructure Deshaun Watson, cool, but I'm more focused on Myles Garrett got a $20 million cap hit. And I hear, Jay, I don't know where he'll be, 4 or 5 seasons from now, but nothing inside of me tells me that he's going to slow down. I'm restructuring that deal right now.
Well, no,
I'm gonna make his base
he
$1
will
million.
slow down. We just don't know when.
I'm just saying I'm gonna make his base $1 million like it used to be,
Right.
and then that's more money I got to go out here and get more weapons on both sides of the ball. So, for example, if the Browns were able to go trade for a stud wide receiver, and then they signed a guy like a Darnell Mooney, okay, the Darnell Mooney signing don't look as bad. Because you wouldn't trade it for you wouldn't trade it for a stud. Or like, if you could get a Christian Wilkinson, right? And you sign him and then you somehow was able to keep Mo Hurst. Or you keep Mo Hurst and you find somebody else that's not on the same level as Christian Wilkins.
Right.
But somebody else that's still like a top tier interior rusher, then that's cool too. It's more than one way to skin a cat. And I trust Andrew Berry to go out here and do what he always do. Be aggressive and make stuff happen.
Let me point out 2 ties that Wilkins has to the Browns real quick. A, he was college teammates with Deshaun Watson at Clemson. And B, his agent, David Mulugheta, also represents Deshaun Watson, which may be why the 2 were tied in the ESPN article. G, when you look at Wilkins and what he's done, he is one of, if not, he's not the best defensive tackle in football. It's not even close. But he is in that conversation outside of the Chris Jones, top tier category, and that tier 2 guys. Mm-hmm. How dominant, theoretically speaking, if he were to come to Cleveland, could the Browns' defensive line look like with edge rusher, whoever they end up going out and get this offseason, whether it's Darius, and then Wilkins, Tomlinson, and Myles as your other 3?
So I've been thinking about it a little bit because I've been really getting my wrapping my head around the Brian Burns pick. Y'all let me know in the chat, man. Let me know in the chat how you feel about the Browns upgrading that defensive line and making it Hall of Fame status. And what I mean by that is, say for instance, you can't get what you want necessarily at receiver.
And it's starting to look more and more likely that you're not.
How do you feel about saying, well, look, the best part of our team was our defense. We're going to just have to go all in and make the defense great. Like, when you look at it, you say, all right, can I get a unit that says it's bar none the best in the league up front? And we got a second year under Jim Schwartz, and we go and say, well, let me get another linebacker. You think about J.O.K. coming back. Emerson's in his 3rd year. You look like you got a bunch of depth at safety. You got the Defensive Player of the Year coming back, Dalvin Tomlinson. And they make their mind up and say, look, we got Njoku and Cooper. We're going to do what we can in the draft because that person, maybe we got some draft stock. I would almost rather him do this, Jay.
A draft, though.
But here, if they told me we're going to package that too, and we're going to package that, and we're going to go up and get a bona fide, not the 2nd round receiver. I'm talking about first, one of the top 3 guys on the board.
See, here's what worries me about that. Let's say you've got a friend who wants to go into business.
Yep.
And his first 3 businesses fail. Are you going to invest in him when he comes to you for the 4th business? Because I'm not. Track record has to come into play here.
It does.
And I had an NFL exec say, and this is almost a verbatim quote, whatever the Browns are doing in their analysis of wide receiver talent, it needs to change. They need to reevaluate it because it's not currently working.
So let me say this.
So I don't know that I want them to go try it again the same way.
If that friend had great ideas but a lack of funding, say for instance he had a really great idea, but the engineers was like, listen, just to put a broken prototype together for that, that's going to cost you $1 million.
I don't know. His track record's going to blind me by everything else. I love you, bro, but you're 0 for 3 right now. I'm probably going to go invest with someone who's 1 for 3, 2 for 3, or 3 for 3.
But what if he had the funding and you like, listen?
Well, then he doesn't need my money. Good luck.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for you.
Like, but what if he only want? So watch this. What if he only just wanted to use your likeness? You stand next to the project. You ain't got to put the money in.
Because the only thing that we have that we can't sell is our, that's.
Stand next to it.
You work a lifetime to develop your.
Facts. Right.
Your NIL, so to speak. So you're not going to willy-nilly give that away. It might work. It might not.
Right.
It also might cause cancer. Now your face is affiliated with a product that causes cancer. Here's what I'm saying. The long way around is I don't trust this organization when it comes to going to the combine, putting grades on talent, and then drafting that position.
You played a dangerous game because you're counting on that kid to come into camp, pick up the offense, build a rapport to Deshaun Watson, not get hurt. And then hit the track running against the Ravens and the Bengals now.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't happen typically unless you're Puka Nacua in the 5th round. Now, the funny thing is, when it comes to the Browns, if you took Amari Cooper off the roster, I know, right? And David Njoku off the roster, what would our pass catching room look like?
If you just take
dog poop.
And by the way,
if you just take one,
everybody that's left has been brought in by this regime. Now, they brought in Amari Cooper, but not via the draft.
Trade.
They fleeced the Cowboys. Go fleece someone else.
That's basically what I'm
Go
getting to.
find the next Amari
Go
Cooper.
find a sucker and fleece him.
And fleece them that way. But don't draft someone because you've proven to us you can't.
It's too much. It's too much of a risk at this point. Where we are at the juncture of this organization, I'm just letting people know, man. Look, in a couple years they may have to tear it down, but I just want to just remember, everybody in the chat understand this. Think about how you felt when you used to turn the Browns television on prior to 2017, and you used to turn the game on and watch the Browns, knowing you had no chance of winning for 2 whole year. That's worse than death to me. Like I listen. I rail on the Browns a lot, but it can't get no worse than it was back then. And me knowing that there's a chance that because we are in financial areas where we're kicking the can down the road, and that could be a thing coming back up for a rebuild. I gotta do whatever it takes to keep my window open, bro. I ain't got no time to worry about that.
I'll push back on that a little bit. I don't think that this is gonna ever be. Not going to say ever. Let me choose my words better. I think Andrew Berry is doing a good job to where the Browns can reset and retool, right? I think they have a vision of making this a consistent contender, a consistent playoff team with the hopes of it's our year and everything fall in line that we can make it to the Super Bowl and win one.
But they have to draft better.
True.
So
I just don't think that the Browns are closer to going back to what we were prior to 2017 than what we are right now.
But what's worse?
You might have to.
What's worse?
That there's the thing. Do
right.
You want to be middling?
I don't want to be middling.
I want to go get a Super Bowl.
16.
Right. I want to go get a Super Bowl. And so
I do too.
I just feel like the general manager, for the most part, has done a good job to make sure that this team can compete at the highest level.
He has.
They need to do better at evaluating the wide receiver position, and it'll be interesting to see how this offseason go. I know that the fans, the chat. Wait, hold on. The fans, the chat, everybody might rip me for this, right?
Who cares?
But there's a dude, and this is intuition. There's a dude on this roster who did not play at all last year that I really believe.
I know where you're going.
That he has a rapport with. Matter of fact, he was with Deshaun Watson when he actually got hurt. And so Andrew Berry might feel like, I got a secret weapon that people might not know about. You still need to go get another wide receiver. I'm still, something about Michael Woods makes me curious.
I wish we could.
Don't know why, but this dude makes me curious.
Yeah. I wish we could have seen more.
Yeah, he should be back from it was Achilles injury, right? If I remember
Yep.
correctly. Yeah, he should be back from the Achilles in
And they're probably
2024.
banking on that. And they're banking that he'll give something to the cause. But at this point, I like your operation stockpile. I think that's the way you do it but you've got to be big and strong at every position. And even though we've got an Amari Cooper and a David Njoku in today's game, that's not enough. And that line that was overused last year that gave all of us PTSD.
We like our room.
We like our room.
No,
we don't.
That's cap.
You may like your room.
That's cap. That's what that is.
The fans and the NFL, didn't like the room.
Yeah, that's cap.
So you've got to improve that position.
If nothing else, to Earl's point with Michael Woods, it just adds another level of competition for guys like David Bell,
Sure.
Cedric Tillman, guys in the end of the wide receiver core to make a name for themselves. If you don't want to watch UCSS, if you can't watch it, you can always listen in podcast form as well. It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts daily. Also, if you're out there, do us a favor, hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber already, hit that subscribe button, totally free, and helps us out a lot on the back end. And we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us every day here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Over the weekend, ESPN had their bold offseason predictions, and one of them in particular caught my particular attention. And now this is not the only outlet who is mentioning a similar situation, but this was a bold prediction and offseason projection from Seth Walder of ESPN. I'm going to read this for you guys. Seth Walder of ESPN said, quote, "If I were the Browns, I would look at Deshaun Watson as a mostly sunk cost and try to upgrade at quarterback. With no first-round pick and so much money already heading Watson's way, this would be tough to do, but trading a second- or third-round pick for Fields, still on a rookie contract, is feasible, and I'd like to see Fields in Kevin Stefanski's offense." This morning, Benjamin Solak of The Ringer, and Steve, you can take tag board, you can't read this, but wrote his 10 combine observations, where he also mentioned the Cleveland Browns as a potential landing destination for Justin Fields. I tweeted out that little segment of it. Don't worry about reading it, but it's essentially the same thing. He wants to see Kevin Stefanski get his hands on Justin Fields and see what he can do in his offense. Guys, what do you think about the potential opportunities of the Browns trading?
Man, they say my trade
Fields?
packages be crazy.
I laughed out loud.
Y'all think we stupid.
Man, my third round in Donovan Peoples-Jones for Aaron Donald was better than that. Like, that's crazy.
Here's the thing. You can always you can look at trades in a vacuum and say, does this make sense, Justin Fields to the Browns? But here's what you have to also include in that conversation. Does it make sense, Justin Fields, to any of the other 31 teams?
Yes.
And the answer is yes. Who is in dire need of a quarterback in our division? There's only one team.
Steelers?
Yeah.
It was reported the Steelers do not have any interest in Justin Fields this morning.
Sure, because if you...
Once again, don't trust reports
Well,
this time of year because it is smokescreen central.
So here's why I'll tell you not only don't trust reports, here's why I would tell you to, when they tell you something, believe the opposite is true.
That's the
Because
better way to phrase it.
If the Steelers are interested, who does it serve for them to come out and say, oh, we got to have Justin Fields. We need him. We have to have him.
Nobody.
It serves the Bears.
Yeah.
Because they're holding the card. So you're going to downplay your interest? Of course you're going to downplay that interest. But last year, when it was obvious that they screwed up at that position with their last draft pick, it was obvious. What did we keep hearing? Steelers are going to be interested in Justin Fields. Steelers are going to be interested in Justin Fields. That was sneaking out from the compound. Then all of a sudden, the compound, who's very smart, said, guys, whoever's telling this to the media, you're not helping us any.
Yeah.
You're just driving the price up for Justin Fields. So we're going to quash all of that. And we're going to do that very simply by putting out a statement that we hope people like Mikey McNuggets believes and reads on air. Like, don't believe these guys. They're all lying.
Well, these are bold predictions. This is not a report. This is just a bold prediction. I just wanted you guys
No, I
to
know.
comment
What I'm
on it.
saying is the report that the Steelers
Oh, I don't
are
believe
not
that. I don't believe anything you
Well, when you
read this time
repeat
of
it-
year. Well, I'm just saying the report is out there to
Of
give
course
people
it
context
is.
of it.
Yeah, of course. The Pittsburgh Steelers report, we have no interest in. I mean, it might as well said that. So and even if it's not the Steelers, are there other teams that need a quarterback more than the Browns?
The Falcons make the most sense.
I agree with you, by the way.
Falcons
I
make
think
the most
that's his landing spot. I just do. All of that being said, there are teams that are in more need of a quarterback than the Cleveland Browns. So it's all about asking price, and is it a fair asking price? And again, you only have so many resources that you have to allocate. If you're gonna give resources to trade for a player, it damn well better not be a quarterback.
I just think it's hilarious.
It better be a wide receiver.
I know I'll be coming up with some crazy ass trade
This one was
scenarios,
crazy.
but this is out of line. Like, first of all, you really don't even have many assets as it is, right? And you need to keep those assets going forward so you can regroup, retool, and keep this thing competitive. You've already committed to DTR as being your long-term backup quarterback, and everybody in the organization knows that if they can bring in a third quarterback, it's probably going to be Joe Flacco or Jacoby Brissett. So for as young and raw as Justin Fields is and being on a rookie contract, listen, eventually you're going to have to pay the piper. If I'm going to give up multiple draft picks for him, I'm re-signing him. And I'm not going to re-sign him for him to sit on the bench. But I did think about something funny. If Pittsburgh did let it out there that they wanted Justin Fields, if I'm the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens, I'm petty. I am trading for him. And I'm making him my backup quarterback.
Or at least get into a bidding war.
Just so your ass can't have him.
Yeah, or at least get into a bidding war and they have to give up more.
Absolutely.
That's part of the game.
Earl, if it was just a third-round pick, because that's what it was put out there, just a third-round pick.
No, I got more pressing needs. Right?
I agree. I'm with you.
Yeah, I got more pressing needs. I'll let somebody else do it.
These guys think we're dumb. Like, this is.
You know what they do? Like, I've been in these meetings. I've been inside ESPN. I know how this machine works. Get clicks.
Yep.
Yo, we looked at your clicks the last 3 months. You're in the 74th percentile of clicks amongst our writers. You need to be in the top 50 if we're going to bring you back. So get clicks. And you know how they get clicks? Nonsense like this.
Like, you know, like.
Nonsense.
Will you do me
They're
a favor?
becoming the boy who cried wolf.
Hold on. Back me up. Read the question I actually put in the rundown regard to this question. Do me a favor on it, just so everyone understands where I'm coming. The exact question.
Actual question is this the dumbest trade idea you've ever heard? And I think we've answered. It's not the dumbest. I mean, I've heard some that were worse.
We did offer
it's among
DPJ
them.
in a
Or
fourth
would you
for
be
Aaron
willing
Donald.
to entertain this idea? So, for me, it's easy. It's not the dumbest. I would not be willing to entertain it, but it's a lot closer to being the dumbest than it is to me considering this to strengthen my team. Look, they are so all in on Deshaun Watson that they fired the figurehead offensive coordinator so they can bring in a new play caller to suit Deshaun Watson.
And
they're not trading for a backup quarterback.
And you could tell it's a national media and they're not really plugged into the
That's
day
it.
in and day out because they're saying, I would like to see how he's going to fit in Kevin Stefanski's offense. You're like, if you don't know, buddy, the word around campus around here is Kevin Stefanski ain't calling no plays. So what are you talking about? See what it looks like in his offense.
Even DTR walking around like, man, who snaps he think he about to take? DTR probably like, you don't even know, fam. No Flacco stats. Y'all don't even know it yet. So, yeah. I thought that was crazy. I mean, we didn't heard some crazy stuff from national media surrounding the Browns, right?
Well,
Nick Chubb not going to be here. David Njoku is a cap casualty. Now all of a sudden, we got 2 picks on day 2, and we're going to trade one of them for a guy that would never hit the field.
That might not even touch the
to
field.
back up our richest, most expensive boat anchor around the team's neck on the because look, if he had 1 year left on his contract, sure, bring him in for some competition.
It's also funny, and I put this on Twitter. We already talked about the Browns not wanting to spend too much money on a backup quarterback. Jay, you've advocated they should.
Yes.
Justin Fields would be the most expensive backup quarterback in football if the Browns were to trade for him. So would you trade a second, third, fourth round pick for the most expensive
Well, on
backup
his
in
rookie
football?
deal?
He's still set to make almost $10 million next year.
Yeah, but I don't know what the other backups make. I mean,
not
Jacoby Brissett
Not
is
10, I can
was
promise you
not
not $10
$8
million.
What did Brissett make? 8?
8.
He was a backup and he never even played.
So would you pay 10 for the most, maybe the most expensive backup?
And by the way, what does he have left on that rookie contract? 1 year?
Yes, you have to decide immediately if you want to pick up the 5th year.
And you have to
It
pay
makes
him.
no sense. The whole
None.
thing makes no
Yeah,
sense.
the whole thing don't make sense at all. That's why, like, it's
Justin Fields has really become a quandary to not just the Bears, but to the NFL. Because if you're in a spot where you're considering making a move for him, like the Falcons for sure, and I think the Steelers are too, but if you're in a spot where you're considering making a move for him, you basically have a body of work that the team that has him doesn't even know if it's good enough to keep him.
Yeah.
And you have to make a decision pretty quickly with
2
his 5th-year
decisions.
options.
One, the decision to go for him, and 2, the
Well,
decision
but I
to
mean,
keep
if you
him.
get him, decision. What
Yeah.
do you do?
Well, I know an
Because-
article came out earlier today, Mike, where they talked about Chicago might wait to add the free agency if they're going to shop Justin Fields to see what the market looks like. I'm one of those few people who believe they should hold on to him.
I do too.
If I'm
I
the
saw
Bears,
enough of him last
like,
year.
I don't think that – I think we haven't seen the best of Justin Fields, but I really believe that this dude has the potential to be a damn good quarterback, right?
Bro, if you think about it, he almost beat the Browns.
Like –
And I know there's almost.
But not only that, DJ Moore was traded from Carolina. DJ Moore had a career year last year. Ask DJ Moore what he thinks about Justin Fields as a quarterback. When Matt Eberflus stopped that BS of not letting him scramble and get out the pocket,
Yeah, that's key.
they offense started to look a whole lot better.
They got
if
them.
I'm Chicago, I'm finding me a trade partner within the first 4 picks. I'm moving back. I'm going to get Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'm going to get the best offensive lineman, or I'm getting the best offensive lineman, and I'm getting the second best wide receiver in this draft. That's what I'm doing. I'm building around Justin Fields. I got
too.
one more year to see if this dude can play or not, right?
You've got two big
because
pieces
if you
to
get
make him
Caleb,
better.
if you get Caleb Williams, like you in the same situation. You still need offensive line help.
Yeah.
DJ Moore is your only target, and if I'm Chicago, I think a guy like Tremaine Edmonds, who left Buffalo to go sign there as a free agent last year. They spent a lot of money on free agency dollars last year. I find that hard to believe that you did all that to make this a hard sale situation.
What's
right?
intoxicating, you got to remember, is all these dudes is chasing. They chasing the unicorn. When you started talking about Caleb Williams and Patrick Mahomes, they started being like, can we afford to miss out on a guy who is a generational player? You start to look at what C.J. Stroud did for the Texans, and you say, if I could get me one of those guys, look where we could be at. Look what the Texans, and you always, it's just like, shout out to J. Cole. He said, delete your Instagram. He said, man, you know why you delete your Instagram? Because all them people you see on Instagram, they don't live like that, and they sure as heck don't look like that. And it makes you judge what you got at your own house and makes you feel like you ain't got what you're supposed to get.
Well, that's why there's been study after study after study after study linking social media to depression. It's a real thing.
And when you start looking at other people's quarterbacks, it leads to depression.
I mean, I think
it
about
does
this
the
though.
fan base, I can tell you that.
Think about this.
You're looking at that.
Think about this.
Jay Stroud looking good.
New York, the Jets fell into that trap of this dude is the next Pat Mahomes. Like you lost your damn mind, right? It's something about Caleb Williams that makes me go, I don't know.
Oh, listen, I am not sold on Caleb Williams
I think it's
at
something
all.
about the mentality, right? Like, no shade, because I got a kid that's in this era of kids. But it is something about these generation of children that's being born, that's passive, that feels like everything's supposed to be handed to them, like to be coddled.
You're not wrong.
Like that right there, if you got that type of mentality, I don't care how talented you are, when stuff hits the fan, you going to crack.
Fight or flight.
I don't need that, man.
Yeah, no.
I don't need that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I don't know if it's generational because he's just as old as every other player that's coming out. And he's part of the same generation as most of the players in the league.
Kid can play.
But I do agree with your criticism of that age group.
Yeah.
However, what I'll say about Caleb Williams is I watched his backup quarterback come in and throw 6 touchdown passes in the bowl game. And here's what I know about that system. It produced Baker Mayfield. It produced Kyler Murray.
Hurts.
It produced Jalen Hurts. It produced Caleb Williams. And it also produced that backup quarterback that threw for 6 touchdowns that no one knows about. So I don't know what Lincoln Riley's doing. I don't know what magic secret sauce he has, but he has something that the college football hasn't caught up with. And it's almost like plug and play. He took Baker out. He put Kyler in. Won the Heisman Trophy.
Bill Callahan of his kind.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. I can't explain it, but to me, Caleb Williams is fool's gold, and the team that drafts him, I think long-term, is going to look like a fool. Just like Carolina looked like taking Bryce. I mean, oh, my God.
Evaluating quarterbacks is the hardest thing to do in football. It's crazy. The hit rate over the last 10 years, Ryan Russillo did a hit or miss.
I love Ryan.
Yep, he's dope.
It's like 30. It's like 38%.
And you know what, Mike? To your point, one of the biggest draft day questions in the history of draft day questions was Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf. I mean, it was real. It was like a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
And Ryan Leaf, and I know he had a lot of personal issues, and I know he's confronted those demons, and he's turned his life around. He's got a great book out if you want to read it. He's a success story in the long run. But his short NFL story was debacle. And Peyton Manning's was what it is.
And it's literally like 35 to 40% hit rate on first round.
Yeah,
There's
it's tough
way more
work.
misses than hits.
Like this year, you got Jaden Daniels, you got Drake May,
J.J. McCarthy,
and he's in the mix. This draft reminds me of the Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Roethlisberger. Now, if you think about it, if you had a blind resume, like Phillip Rivers done thrown for a ton of touchdowns, but he doesn't have anything to show for it. Ben Roethlisberger has rings to show for it. Eli Manning has rings to show for it. I think these quarterbacks are kind of in that same little mode where, yeah, you could get a good quarterback, but it just all depends on where they go and how they're going to move and shape if they're going to be successful or not. So, if you miss on a quarterback, you just get fired. That's what it is.
And it sets you back 5 years.
Sets you back 5 years, and fit matters. Team, situation around it, it totally matters.
Yeah, you miss
another sport where position matters is baseball, especially seating positions. And if you want to be in the best seats possible for Guardians games this season, you better be buying your tickets on Game Time. Just download the Game Time app. Use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time makes buying tickets online fast and easy for all sporting events, music shows, comedy events, and theaters. Productions, killer last-minute deals, all-in prices. They get you views from your seat, and they will match any deal you can find. If it's better, they have a best price guarantee. So download the Game Time app today. Use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. I want to make sure we get to the LeBron James stuff at the very end, and I know we got a bunch of super chats, but Jay, so far through spring training, we see Shane Bieber hitting 94 on the gun, very promising sign, but even more impressively is what Angel Martinez, the young infielder, has done from the plate. Switch hitting, 22 years old. He's batting .571 this offseason. Spring training, not offseason, nearly 3 home runs. And he's making a real push to not only be an opening day guy, but potentially a starter. What have you seen from Angel?
Yeah, I think you're right. He is. He's definitely opened some eyes. He was a guy who was on the radar, but it was more Brian Rocchio.
Yep.
Was going to be the guy that pushed. And I think what we've seen is, sometimes it's funny. You think it's one thing, and then you find out, how did we ever think that? It was clearly this. I think that there are real problems with Gabriel Arias's game. His swing and miss rate, even if the Guardians do decide to go less contact and more power, it's still problematic. I mean, it was really problematic in last year's lineup because which of these was not like the others?
And they gave him every opportunity.
They did. They gave him an opportunity to win the starting job after the trade, and he shows a lot of promise still, but I want to see more of Angel Martinez. And so I don't know what's going to happen there. I think that we're going to see more of Angel Martinez throughout the season. So here's what my guess is, what's going to happen. My guess is, because I never get too excited about success or lack of success in spring training. I just don't, because I watch a lot of the pitchers and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could get a hit off this guy. So I think, and spring training, for the most part, is gobbled up. Innings are gobbled up by guys that won't be on big league rosters. So I'm not going to get too emotional now. But my projection is Gabriel Arias wins the job when they break camp. And sometime around June or July, if he continues to be the guy that he was last year, and look, we saw what Josh Naylor did when it came to hitting left-handed or pitching. Yeah. He just suddenly figured it out. But short of him figuring out how to put bat on ball more often, I think we'll see Angel Martinez at the big league level sometime this year.
I started to text you yesterday because Mike sent out the rundown, and I tried to do my due diligence to prepare. So I went and looked him up, and I started watching Angel Martinez highlights, and I fell into this whole of, man, we used to have a shortstop that I used to really, really like. His name was Francisco Lindor. I said, man, I hope I come in, I'm on this panel, and Jay is going to tell me and G why this man is the next Francisco Lindor.
Oh, my God.
Hey, hold on. Now, listen. Earl, you got to get you a nickname, bro. Like, I'm the Duke of Knee-Jerk, but this is crazy. Listen.
Hey, Passionate Pearl.
Passionate Pearl.
Passionate Pearl.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, somebody tell me that he's like one of the top 6 or 7 ranked prospects in baseball, please. Somebody, anybody.
He's highly
tell
regarded.
Me him.
But, like, if you're ranking shortstops in the Guardians organization, he's probably at best 3rd or 4th.
Listen.
That doesn't mean he can't become an everyday player at an all-star.
I told you 2 weeks ago, I'm not going to let them sell me on no damn Gabriel Arias, man. I'm not doing that.
But this guy might be the next coming of him.
Hey,
I don't know. I need to see him at the big league level for a month before we make any.
I would love if Stephen Vogt, if you're listening, just do this. You need a brand. You need some marketing, and G. Bush will help you market yourself, man. One of the best ways you can endear yourself to this fan base and to have a breath of fresh air, be infused into this organization is be known as the guy. If you come to the Cleveland Guardians, this is a place we give young guys an opportunity. This is the land of opportunity for the Guardians. If you've been in a AAA and maybe you got moves around, we'll give you a shot. I'd rather give Martinez a shot than somebody I already seen 1,000 at-bats from. Give me the young guy and give the young guy an opportunity to come take it. You can always go back to the vet. You can always go back to him. But what you do is you give yourself an opportunity to play the young guy, and now you can infuse some talent and say, look, well, I'd be interested if I get to show up to the park and they telling me, oh, well, we operating our stuff like a 4A, but we still playing major leagues. And before, it was the bad 4A because we develop people, put them in the minors and send them off. The good 4A is we play our guys, develop them, and then give them an opportunity to become superstars.
Yeah, I this one's tough because I can't imagine that they're going to cut bait on Gabriel Arias already. He hasn't had 1,000 at-bats. I don't know how many at-bats he had last year.
And Steven Vogt got the nerve to be wearing number 12, and you going to put Angel Martinez in a rundown to try to get me all hyped up about a dude who I think was supposed to be Frankie, and my manager wearing Frankie number?
Now,
whole damn segment is out of pocket.
Arias, right? Like, so, all right, well, here's the thing about Arias. Could you keep him on the roster and platoon him different places?
No, I don't think so. I think if
because they had him at third a little bit last year.
No, I know, but he's not. I mean, Jose's got third nailed down, and barring an injury to Jose, he's going to play there every day. I don't think it's really tough. I mean, we talked about the positions that we know they're looking at. We know they're looking at right field. They're likely looking at center field as well. Mm-hmm. But I think the toughest of all of them is shortstop.
Yep.
If you decide that it's not Arias, you have to be certain because you have to move Arias then.
Really?
Well, what are you going to do with him? What are you going to do with him?
Is he? I don't know, how old is he?
20. How old is Gabriel Arias? 23.
23, I thought.
He's
check.
young.
He's a young dude.
It's not even about options. It's about you're telling him
24.
24. You're telling him you're not our guy. After years of telling him you are our guy.
But that was under a different regime, though.
But can he?
Well, not really. I mean, a manager, but the general manager in the front office, the group that shapes this roster, has told him you're next.
So let me ask you this.
And now you're telling him you're getting leapfrogged by maybe two guys. So you're best off dealing him.
I think this was maybe 2 seasons ago. I need you to correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody got hurt, and we seen Jose playing second base some, right? Was that second base or shortstop that he was playing?
I don't remember him playing out of position. I don't.
I think it's when
not to say that he hasn't played.
It was 2 seasons ago. I can't remember. I can't remember the dude name we had here. He was sliding over to third base, and I think Jose was playing.
It may have happened. I have a vague remembrance.
The question I'm asking is,
you don't want him at second base.
Can Arias play another position outside of shortstop?
Well, second and third are locked down.
Can he play in the outfield any?
No. I mean,
could you shift Jimenez to shortstop to open up second base?
Well, that's been discussed. That has been discussed. But in the same breath that it was discussed in, I think it was Chris Antonetti, his quote was, you then weaken a position that is one of your strengths in doing that. So is it an option? Yeah. But honestly, he's been so good for you at second base. You've got 3 guys that you're looking at. I think really the biggest question coming out of spring training is who's your shortstop. I do. I used to think it's who's your right fielder. But I don't know that, and that's still a question. I think Will Brennan is, he had a little bit of pop. We saw he homered, I think, in his second spring training game. I don't think he's homered since. But I just think that right now shortstop is the biggest key. I do think that knowing historically how teams deal with these things, they're cautious, and here's why. If you make a move and you say Arias isn't the guy, then you almost have to clear him out of the organization. I don't want to send that guy down and tell him now you can win your job back. He's lost the job. If he's lost the job, you have to be sure that the guy you're giving it to is definitively better than him. You don't want to find out in May when Martinez is hitting 199 that you made a mistake.
And real quick before Mike move on, so talking to my guy. You sure he not Frankie?
No, I'm not.
Damn, man.
No, you can't be.
Damn.
You can't be sure. I mean, I'm not sure that he's going to be Frankie. I'm not sure he's not. I would tell you that the odds of him becoming Frankie are far greater than the odds of him not being Frankie.
I mean, Frankie did hit 40 home runs almost 1 year.
Frankie's a freak. Okay, Frankie's a generational talent.
Yeah.
And
I still cheer for Frankie. I know that's
I
not
do
popular,
too.
but
I do
that's
too.
my
I
boy
want him to
still.
do- I
man.
like him personally.
That's
and
my
I-
homie, man.
I root for him.
We're going to talk about LeBron, but I want to read the Super Chats first so we could have the last few minutes here to speak on LeBron James. And today's Super Chats are brought to us by the
LeBron
people of
James.
UCSS because we love the fans who watch us every day. You guys truly do make this job the best in the world. Blue Aqua starts off our Super Chats today saying, Hart popped his chain like Debo. He going to cry in the car. Mac Dog said, yes, the Cavs are soft, and it's embarrassing that JB has not found a way to beat the Knicks. New York, without their two superstars, their second-string bench players beat the Cavs at home. JJ said, hey, bro, how bro let that slide man TF up? Brody's bottom line has two. He says, JB hasn't learned his lessons from last year. You don't play with two bigs, and they play with one guy with four guards. Young Bull, in reference to Colin Sexton, still averaging almost 20 points a game. Halim Youssef says, I have bad news for you guys. Next year, Denzel Ward will be traded or cut. Newsom moves back outside and is extended. They can't afford to keep Ward for a third contract. And Michael McGee says, WWE SummerSlam coming to Cleveland in August, which is going to be a fun event for everyone coming up. Over the weekend, though, guys, LeBron James eclipsed the 40,000 point mark in his career, becoming the first player in NBA history to ever reach 40,000 career points. We've seen scoring in the NBA go up and up and up. Do you think 40,000 will ever be eclipsed by another player, or is LeBron James in the 40,000 point club, will that end as a club of one?
Someone will break the record. It will probably take 40 years. And the one thing that has to happen is the trend of players' load management concerns has to go away.
I think this record is going to end up like pitching records. I don't think. I don't think organizations, as we go longer, they're not going to let guys play back to back. So they're not gonna put an emphasis. They'll be on restriction limit, like innings limits. The guys pitch 5-6 innings. You'll never be able to see guys go throw back to back shutouts or back to back. They just won't do it. 40,000 is crazy, and you'd have to take into consideration. You'd almost have to play. He had the perfect storm. You come out in high school, so you start when you're 18. Mm-hmm. He started when he was 18. He's almost playing till he's 40. So, like, somebody like Kevin Durant is nowhere near on this list, and Kevin Durant is a bona fide sniper. The reason why Kevin Durant lost a year in college, Kevin Durant lost 2 complete years to injury of his career, getting hurt. So you have to come out of high school, which they don't let you do anymore. You'd have to have really good health where you don't miss long, time when you plan. And you would actually have to play well and average 25, 20 above into your 40s and have that type of longevity. The record would never be broken because I think the way that people play would be different.
I disagree with you, and I agree with you at the same time. I do think that in the years to come, we will see how the game is played and how the approach to the game be different. But the one thing we know about, time and life, everything cycles back, right? The players change, the game stay the same. And I think that when this record is broken, none of us will be here on this earth when it's done. Yeah. And so, they might have said that back in the day about Kareem as far as, this will never be broken. Here comes LeBron, and maybe 60, 70 years from now, we're going to see we won't, but there'll be somebody else who's going to come along and possibly break this record. I'll just say this, man. I don't really get caught up in a GOAT conversation anymore. I think that's based on your own opinion of who you think the GOAT is.
Because there's no right answer.
But LeBron James is just different. LeBron James is special. For him to come out of high school with all the hype and all the expectations and people thinking that he was going to fail or barely live up to him, this dude is the youngest dude to 1,000 points, 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40,000 by himself. What he's done in his NBA career, man, is second to none. And his place in history is etched in stone for forever. And I can give a damn about him coming up short with 6 championships and 6 finals MVPs. His story, his journey is his journey, and you will never be able to write the story or tell the story of the NBA without LeBron James.
Yeah, 100% correct. You make a lot of valid points there. One of the points that I only became made aware of a couple of years ago and that I appreciate more is one you just made, is the fact that the obvious comparison is Jordan to LeBron. When Jordan came out of North Carolina, he wasn't the number 1 overall pick.
No.
And by the way, he hit a game-winning shot in the NCAA championship game.
Yeah.
So he was accomplished, but he wasn't the chosen one. This dude was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16 with the caption, "The Chosen One." And if you think about it, I talked about Ryan Leaf earlier. Here's a guy who clearly had the skill set. Mm-hmm. Expectations killed his career. He even said later, I got sick and tired of being compared to Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I'm being compared to one of the greatest of all times. LeBron James did not crumble under the crush of perhaps the biggest set of expectations we've ever put on an athlete.
Ever.
When have we ever, at 16 years old, put that person on the cover of the Holy Grail magazine of the sport at the time and said, "The chosen one"?
I said this when you was on vacation, and went back and I've tried to read as much as I can, right? I don't remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant. I'm just going through the list of players that are damn good players, right? Let's use Kobe, Mike, and Kareem for the sake of this argument. 3 of the top 5 or 6 greatest players to ever play in the NBA. None of them had the expectations coming into the NBA that LeBron James did.
Lou Alcindor, though, who became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, had a lot of expectations.
But it wasn't like this.
But nobody, Earl, was like this.
Yeah,
that's
nobody.
my point. My point is, to your original point, this guy had unmanageable expectations. You know the one person in the world I don't want to be right now? One of LeBron's kids. Charlie Woods. Because in today's society, when those people already have millions of followers that LeBron didn't have to deal with, you're going to hear it every time you fail. I think Tiger made a mistake with Charlie when he allowed him to enter a qualifier so he could play in a PGA event. He's like 15 or 16 years old. He finished like 132nd out of 135.
He had an 8 on a par.
I know he did. I was shocked that Tiger let that happen. Because in today's society, you hear from your critics much more readily than you ever did before.
You do.
LeBron had detractors. He just didn't hear from them on social media like they do today.
Right.
LeBron James, I think you're right. To me, I'm done making the argument. He is, to me, the greatest of all time, and you'll never change my mind. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I'm right because it's my decision.
I just don't like how people gloss over. Forget the expectation. Yeah, he was expected to do something. My expectation of you does not have anything to do with what you are. This man came into the league as known as one of the best passers and a passer in Magic Johnson, right? And that's his best skill set. But that guy, with his best skill set being passing, is the all-time leading scorer. He has more assists than Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard of all time. The man is in the top 7 in steals all time. The only person who's hit more three-point shots than him in the history of the game is Steph Curry. He has more points than people. He also has more rebounds than David Robinson. He has more rebounds than Ben Wallace. And all they did.
And that's because of longevity, right?
And all they did is rebound.
Right.
So you telling me he's the best scorer, he could pass like Magic and got more. Some people say Magic and Bird. Magic is assists and Bird can shoot. And he came in and said, I hit more threes than Larry. Got more assists and I got more steals than Gary Payton and Scottie Pippen. That is ridiculous. The stats will never be broken.
And he's still top of his game at 40.
And he's still averaging 25, 7 and 7
He's
And
incredible,
100.
G. This puts a little context. So Kevin Durant, widely regarded as maybe the best pure scorer of the basketball ever, right? Now, he's had injuries, but he's no young chicken. Been in the league for quite a while. He's 9th all-time in the NBA in the scoring list.
And isn't he like 12,000 behind?
28,000 points. He's 12,000 behind LeBron. 12,000. The closest guy, if anyone's going to break it, at least guys we know about now. Luka Doncic has 11,000, and he just turned 25.
But you know
now,
what?
He has to play for another 16
and
years.
that's why he won't do it.
And I agree. I'm just saying, if one person, quote-unquote, is on pace, it's Luka scoring's up, but look at LeBron's body.
Yeah.
And look at Luka's
no
body.
disrespect to Luka, but
he's at 40 years old. You know what? We're going to see a picture of him like, oh my God, look at that guy.
I'm just saying it is, in my opinion, it's going to go up there in the record.
Part of this
Cal
conversation
Ripken and all that.
I think it was it Garnett? Someone came out over the weekend and said, yeah, he's on that juice.
Oh, said that.
Specifically, he's on that juice.
Said that about LeBron?
Said that about LeBron.
Blasphemous.
And now there
That's
has
crazy.
been whispers about that for
crazy.
a long time. But he's always come out clear in all the investigations.
Hey, real quick.
But somebody that's in the
10
know.
10 seconds, Earl. Make it quick.
Hey, real quick. You know how we all know LeBron still got it? 19 points in the fourth quarter against the Clippers.
That's the switch.
Crazy ass comeback.
He can still find the switch.
See you in OT.
No one
Peace.
else is going to be able to be that.